But yeah, man, anyone out there just listening to this, you have to, like, if you do not have crippling, if you are not crippled physically, don't like have some other job that some sort of paying off the medical benefits for some, or unless you have like a family, you know what I mean? If you do not have something anchoring you to the United States or to Canada or to wherever you are, go for it. Go for it. The hardest part is just deciding to go for it. And you don't gotta sell everything and like clean slate it either. You can go for 3 months, you can go for 6. Design your life to where you can do that. Even if it's for a month. And just try it out, like, cuz you'll never get over it if you never like there's a saying in Spanish, el hubiera no existe, which is like should have never doesn't exist. And I know it can be intimidating. I know there's a lot of uncertainties. It can be super scary. But if you just go for it and you just decide to move to a country, to Latin America, wherever, the rest will fall into place. And if it doesn't fall into place, then you just go back. But you'll be surprised at how you figure it out on the way. Trust in yourself and really go for it if you do not have something anchoring you to one location. You got to go do it. You got to explore the world. You got to live another country, at least for a season of your life. Try to learn another language. It's like living 2 lives in a good way, not being like a deceitful, person, but like it opens up the possibilities. It doubles the possibilities. Latinos are some of the most amazing people out there. And just go for it, man. That's where 99% of people, they never get through that kind of mental block. Just do it. Do it. You'll figure it out on the way. And I bet you won't regret it one bit. So that's what me and, my Latin life, that's what we preach. And we believe in it. So throw a pair of balls, bro. Do it.
Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is Ford Quarterman. He's a pretty big YouTuber. He's got just about 750,000 subscribers on YouTube as kind of a gringo in Mexico, gringo in Latin America, talking about, the language, the culture, travel, all that good stuff. And we welcome Ford to the podcast.
How's it going, man? Great to be on your podcast. I've been following your X feed for a couple months now, and I actually reached out to you because I like your X feed. I was just like, who are you, dude? I like your style. I like how you're kind of matter of fact, in your face, kind of unfiltered little snippets that you share, and
Mm-hmm.
and of course, if I didn't agree that they were true for the most part, then I wouldn't like your feed. So
I like that for the most part.
No, I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? I just, for the most part, like I haven't read. It's been a little bit of time that I've been following you, but what I've seen, I really liked. And I just reached out to you. I was like, yo, dude, what's up? Who are you? So
Thanks,
it's
man.
a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're at about 250 plus episodes. I've been following your stuff or aware of you for a long time, ever since oh man, I forget what it's called now, with El Chad, like the 5 gringos, the super team of gringos. What was that called again?
The super gringos. We were called Los Gringos TV. Los
Those
Gringos
Gringos
TV.
TV, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of a similar space. There's not a ton of us out there, just the gringos that live in Latin America that's Spanish, that really have the culture. And we kind of just found each other online and then formed super gringo boy band.
The
Not
Gringo
not
boy
really.
band, and you were the Mexico guy.
I was the Mexico guy. Yeah, it was like originally we were five, and it was like um, each one of us had like our favorite country. So there was like an Argentinian gringo, a Peruvian gringo, Paraguayan gringo, Colombian gringo, and then together.
Yeah, I think you're only the second one I've interviewed. So I've been trying to get like Gringasho on. So we'll see what happens with that stuff. But thanks for coming on, man. And I guess you're still in Mexico to this day. People hear some wind in the background because he's Ford is literally overlooking the ocean outside on poolside infinity pool Oaxaca vibe. And I guess you're still liking Mexico.
Yeah, man. Well, sorry about the wind. Is it pretty? Is
Ah,
it
it's not
pretty
bad. It's
strong?
not bad.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, literally right when we connected, before you hit the record button, I was trying to show you the whales that were in the background. No lie, seven whales, seven. So it's nice, man. It's like 83 degrees, maybe 85. Pacific Ocean, waves crashing on the cliffs, the green jungle, palm trees swinging in the wind, and whales jumping. Get like me, bruh.
Busy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday at what time is it over there? Like 11 a.m.
Yeah, it is 11:30.
So what kind of like Mexico gringo are you? Are you like a Pacific Coast guy or a Mexico City guy? I guess you bounce around a little bit. I don't take you for a Gulf of Mexico guy. I haven't really. So what do you have like a preferred region?
Yeah, I kind of base in Mexico City and I travel, really all over the country. Uh, it's a main goal of my channel is just to show how great of a country this is and how many diverse regions, places there are within the country. But yeah, I would say I'm in Oaxaca on the Oaxacan coast more than anywhere else for sure. Definitely more of a Pacific guy. I like surfing when I can get around to it. Uh, I love all water sports. The snorkeling and scuba diving is better on the other side, but surfing is way better over here. You still can go
Yeah.
snorkeling and scuba. I love spearfishing.
Mm,
Spearfishing is like my new favorite activity that I've gotten into the past. Like
mm.
it's killer. It's killer over here for spearfishing and less developed, less touristy, less resorts, less spring break bullshit, less annoying gringos. To be honest with you, it's a big European tourism sector over here. Um, and the gringos that do come over here, they seem to be, they're less about the all inclusive resorts and more about getting kind of off the beaten path and connecting with the culture and connecting with
Yeah.
locals and and yeah, just kind of like an alternative bohemian coast over here.
I knew spearfishing. I've never done it. I know it's really big in La Paz, but I didn't know so Oaxaca's as good or better.
Man, I've actually it's insane. As much as I've come down here to Mexico, as much time as I've spent here, I've never been Los Cabos. I've never been. I've only been to Baja California, like norte, up in
Uh-huh.
Tijuana, Puerto Nuevo, where all the lobsters are, and kind of in that region. I've never been down to La Paz, Los Cabos, Todos Santos. I've never been, so I couldn't tell you specifically. Um, it's not a huge activity here, but there's some of us that are into it.
And I imagine you need like clear waters to do it.
Yeah, it's hit or miss because the ocean down here is very wild. It can change from 1 hour to the next, and yeah, it's a little more visually pleasing when it's clear, but there's actually a balance to the water visibility, which makes it for ideal. spearfishing, it's actually, if it's super super clear, it's not ideal because the fishes the fishes the
Hmm.
fish can see you, easy, from farther away. It's just harder. It's
Ah.
harder to fish them.
Okay, so you
So
actually want some murkiness.
I, yeah, I'm not a pro with this either. You know what I mean? But from what I understand, from what some of the locals have told me, yeah, you want a little element of murking uh, for the ideal conditions. That's from what I understand. That's what I've heard.
Okay, so your go-to corridor is Mexico City, Oaxaca.
Yeah. I do love the Caribbean side too. I was just in Bacalar.
Hmm.
It's like whatever. Um, sorry, the guy was distracting.
No
Um,
worries.
Bacalar. I was just over there. It's like La Laguna de los Siete Colores, freshwater close to
Hmm.
the Caribbean side. It's the same color as the Caribbean, bright blue water. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it over there. I love the culture. So so yeah, man. I get around.
You get around. And you're still very active on YouTube. You know, your most recent video came out 6 days ago at the time of this recording. Already has 71,000 views. Previous videos are like 190K views, 196K views, 50K. Like every video you do has does like very well. Like they all hit, and it is very hard to get a channel going where every single video is like 40K plus views. But you've been doing it a long time, and I guess consistency is part of your key to success.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny you mention that because my views are actually down. The views have gone down in the past, just a million, 500,000, 100,000, whatever. But yeah, consistency is key for sure, and that's exactly why my have dropped off is because I've been a little inconsistent. I need to be more consistent. I got some other things that take me away from it. But yeah, I've had success with it. And the whole purpose of my channel is basically just to break down stereotypes
Hmm.
between gringos, to show the level of friendship that exists,
Hmm.
mostly in Spanish, but I switch back and forth. It's all subtitled, a point of connection between cultures, between countries, helpful for people who want to learn Spanish and English.
Hmm.
And basically, yeah, just document all the beautiful things about these countries, primarily Mexico, just to encourage more people to uh, to lead a similar life.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Haltza, author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income by implementing his paycheck multiplication layering method. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond 20K a month. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, if you're interested in unleashing your earning potential and doubling your income, then click the link in the description and book a call with Rolf right now. And what is the kind of the breakdown of your audience from the analytics you've seen? Is it like more Mexicans or more Americans?
It breaks it down on YouTube by watch time, so it doesn't tell you like really where your subscribers necessarily are, but you can kind of you know decipher through the watch time. Um, and it's about 50% watch time from Mexico. It's about 40% from the United States. The rest of the 10%, like Latin America, Spain, Canada. But I would say the overwhelming majority of people that do follow me in the United States are Mexican American,
You think?
Chicanos. Yeah, I would say so. I would say probably within the 40% of people that follow me in the United States, I'd say probably 80, 75 to 80% of them are Chicanos, like Mexican Americans. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I originally started out, um, sorry, man, there's a lot of background noise there.
It's all right. It's all right. Keep rolling.
Okay. Yeah. I originally started out, I launched a blog a couple years ago called where'sthegringo.com. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually drove my truck all the way from the States all the way to Argentina and Patagonia. And it took me about 2.5 years. And I originally launched the where'sthegringo.com blog to change, you know, gringos stereotype towards Latin America. And I still do that, but what it's changed more into now with my YouTube, which I, started years later, is it's more kind of, I feel like just by the numbers of people that follow me, more inevitably changing Latinos stereotype of gringos,
Hmm.
because mostly Latinos follow me and I'm a gringo. And you know um but I want to do both. Like I said, I want both worlds together, and like point of, so
Yeah, tell me a bit more about that. I imagine you get like recognized on the street quite frequently in Mexico.
yeah. It happens quite frequently. um you know uh I it just depends on if I'm going to like trafficked places. The more people, the more likely a lot of a lot of go or go touristy, and it not happen. But yeah, it happens quite frequently. It's happened a couple times this week. I think my record is 11 times in one day. 11, 11 different people. Uh, so it's cool. It's cool, because, and it's people of all ages. That's the cool thing about YouTube, is it's kind of like the universal social network, if you can call it a social. It's not, not like social, I feel like, as other networks, but everyone of all ages, of all shapes and sizes and backgrounds, consumes YouTube. So I'll have like a kid come up to me, or a grandpa come up to me, I'll have someone that comes up to me and says, "My mom loves you." It's interesting to see,
For sure.
and it feels good. It feels good because my mission is a good one. I as I told you, when I traveled for many years before making YouTube. And people are always like, "Dude, you should do it. You should be like an influencer. You should be a YouTuber. You should, make all this content." And I always dabbled with, stories and posts, little micro blog type of like caption.
Hmm.
But I didn't ever take it seriously, and to be honest with you, I never wanted to do it because I just didn't have my mission clear, because it just seemed kind of douchey to me. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna like record myself and be like, "Yo, check my life out. It's better than yours. I'm on the beach. You're in a cubicle." You know,
Yeah.
uh, it just seemed kind of douchey. You know what I mean? And I think, especially since then, it's just gotten douchier. Like influence, the Instagram mentality, people just in it to glorify themselves and look hot and brag, type of thing. But then, after I got to the end of the Pan American Highway and I came back to Mexico because it was my favorite country out of all of them, I made a video about it. And Los Gringos TV, those guys inspired me to do it. You know what I mean? Because they were kind of already doing more content stuff. And they're like, "Well, dude, what's your favorite country?" I said, "Mexico." And they're like, "Well, make a video about it." So I did. And, it's called "Por qué México?" Explicado por un gringo. Why Mexico? Explained by a gringo. And I just describe, after traveling to the end of the world, my favorite. And it blew up. It blew up from one night to the next. And and what really changed my mentality was seeing all the thousands of comments and messages from people. That was 2018, right? That was the first time Trump was president, and first time when, you know, the anti-immigration rhetoric was strong. And And there was just thousands and thousands of messages of people saying, wow, thank you so much. I never knew that an American, like a gringo, could love my country so much. You've changed my perspective towards white people. You've like all these like super strong comments, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I thought to myself, I was like, well, okay, there's something here, this is an opportunity to have a voice, a unifying positive voice, because there's not really many people that do this. And the stereotypes are bad. Stereotypes are bad that gringos have towards Mexico and Latin America in general, and then and vice versa. There's a bunch of people in Latin America that hate us. They hate us. They think we're colonizers. They think gentrifiers. They think we're racist. We don't give a shit about them. We're better. So I was like, okay, this is like way bigger than me. This is like not self glorifying. This is tackling an issue that's that's very important. So that's how I kind of justified it in my head, and then I just kept making videos, and it's just worked.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So, how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. And the Why Mexico video was kind of the big inflection point.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, from night to day, it was like all these YouTubers, they try for so long to get a break, and really I was just lucky. It's just like, from, like I said, one day to the next, just published it, and it instantly went viral on YouTube and Facebook. And instant thousands of followers, thousands of, millions of views,
Mhm.
and thousands of comments. They were just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, awesome, you're changing my perspective towards gringos. I never thought, I thought all white people were racist, like crazy comments like that, and I was just like, okay, well, this is interesting. I'm going to keep doing it. And it's, like I said, it's worked. It's been going on about 6 years now. I guess it'll be 7 in November.
Was it intimidating to try to do the very next video after the Why Mexico video? You're like, shit, how am I going to follow this up?
I A little bit, yeah, yeah. I had a couple videos like recorded, and and yeah, before I published that video, I had made the decision to try it. You know what I mean? So I had another really good video which also went viral, which was like, Gringo prueba comida callejera mexicana.
Uh-huh.
And
I've definitely seen that one.
and I had that one pretty much ready to go, and I published that like 2 weeks later, and it also was like, boom, like instantly viral. That was like, me just walking through the streets of Mexico City eating tacos and like bullshitting with the taqueros, like the guys that that make the tacos. And it was a really good video because it showed like the level of like trust that I had between these local Mexican street vendors. Mexicans are very sarcastic, jokesters, and and that's how I am. You know what I mean? Like, I personally think the more like you rip on someone, the more close you are to them. Like, the majority of my friends, like, we just rip on each other. And that's like, you either do that because you hate them or because you love them. And in my case, and especially in that videos, because I love the dudes and they were responding in a way like, yeah, this gringo's cool, and showing how awesome the food was, but how also the level of friendship that can exist between Mexicans and gringos in Spanish. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it was just different. It was a different, there's still really no one that, to be honest with you, there's a ton of YouTubers, foreign YouTubers, of course, but there's a couple American, gringo YouTubers in Mexico, but they're not really like traveling around and speaking Spanish like I. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
It reminds me of the Coreano blogs. I used to watch him a little bit too. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
similar style.
Yeah. There's tons of people that do it, but just not many gringos. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like Coreano Vlogs, he's from Korea, and there's a bunch of Spaniards that do it, and there's a bunch of Russians and people from all over that do it. And there's other gringos, people from the United States that are in Mexico making travel content, but they're just not speaking Spanish and like, bullshitting with the Mexicans in the street like I do. At
Hmm.
least, that's I also don't watch a lot of YouTube. Maybe I'm wrong,
Hmm.
but I don't think there is really that many other people that do it. So, which is a shame, to be honest with you. But yeah, you know, come do it. Anyone listening to this, do it. Why not?
I've definitely made some of these like GoPro type videos in the past and like done some in Spanish, and I'm like, estoy aquí, voy a hacer el sendero, or something, something like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things where I don't know if you've had this experience where uh, maybe like every couple months, every 6 months, you're like, maybe I should just delete the whole fucking channel and do something else. Does that ever come to mind where you're just like, you just kind of get like, I don't know, just like the ick, or you're like, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed now by what I did a couple of years ago, or
Uh, I mean, there's some things that I watch where I'm just like, kind of cringy, but not really, like not like super cringy, not to the point to where like I want to delete it.
hmm.
Once again, like I believe in my mission. So, I kind of sometimes, yeah, when I do see this stuff, or I do get a little bit of cringe, or whatever, I was like, oh, that was kind of douchey. I just myself of why I'm doing it and the overall mission. So,
Hmm.
but no, like sometimes, yeah, sometimes I want to do something else, not because of like self embarrassment, cringe, like that, but more just because um sometimes I just get tired of being exposed to so many people.
Mm.
You know, I sometimes, like of course you don't see all the messages and all the comments and stuff, but you see a lot. Like I see a lot of them. Sometimes I just like I hate being exposed to some people's stupid ass opinions.
Mm.
And I should be better at it. I should definitely be better at it. And I'm not the worst. Like I said, I don't read all of them. But sometimes, people are just haters, dude. And this is a small percentage. You know what I mean? The overwhelming majority in feedback is positive, for sure. But with so many comments, inevitably, like, the small percentage does add up. And it's just annoying. It's just annoying as well. People people say stupid stuff, like people say I'm like a CIA agent, or like, and there's a ton of people out there, and unfortunately it's creeping into Latin America with more and more frequency. But just like the wokeness, like super super,
Like the colonizer type stuff. I got you.
yeah, it's like everyone in Latin America learned the word gentrification like within the past like 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's like, where's it
dudes, like
coming from?
where's it coming from?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's coming from just globalization, dude, and just the media, and a lot of governments, and I don't want to get political podcast necessarily, But it is very easy to blame other people. It's easy to blame other countries. It's easy, and I'm not absolving. Of course, I'm not absolving the United States and gringos from our sins. We got plenty of them. We got plenty of foreign interventions and plenty of bullying, neo imperialism, and all that is undeniable. And you'll watch some of my videos and I call it out. You know what I mean? But I like to be like a pretty level guy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to be like too far on the left or too far on the right. And a lot of the leftist mentality, unfortunately, is just blaming everyone else for your misfortune. That's all I'll say. And it's easy, especially when you can pin the blame on an entire country, an entire different set of people, uh, and basically absolve yourself of any responsibility to like make your own shit better. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I'll say. And some of that gets on my nerves, you know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, if all gringos and all white people are like, first off, you're racist. First off, you're racist. Second off, if you don't believe that and you're just mad at me for doing what I do, like, what would you prefer that I do? Would you prefer that I go back to the United States and be like a normal gringo? Like, I'm out here trying to make a difference and I'm being different and I'm not trying to do it. It's who I am. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
documenting my life. And I think it's a positive unifying message. So, what do you like? What would you propose me to do? Would you propose me to like, be one of these programmed 9 to 5 kind of like Cold War mentality gringos that are like, from yesterday? It's like, you just can't win. You can't win with some of these people. So you hear me going off on the tangent. You can see that it does bother me. And that's the main thing that sometimes I'm just like, I just kind of feel like packing it, going and living on a farm. So sometimes.
No, I get some of these messages too, particularly on more on Instagram actually, because I was running some ads about Mexican residency and helping people get Mexican residency, and a lot of Mexicans and Mexican Americans saw it, and you kind of get some comments. But I guess any publicity is good publicity. I'm gonna shut off our cameras just because the connection's a little bit bad, but
Sure.
you can still hear me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's kind of next in the mission of bridging Mexico and America? What are some of the next ideas that you have? Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. BitRefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information.
Well, I do all types of different content, and one of the reasons why I think my views aren't what they used to be is because I've always had so much varied type of content. And I got a buddy who's like a really analytical YouTuber, and he says, the problem with the inconsistency in your channel is because people don't know what to click on. People don't, or they don't know what type of video you're going to give them. You know what I mean? So it's like you have all these different factions of people that started following you because they saw this one type of video, and then they followed you because they want more of that video, and it's, you know, 15 or 20% of my overall content. And he's just encouraged me to focus.
Hmm.
So I got to kind of figure out how to focus, to be honest with you. And the travel content thing is great. I love doing it. It accomplishes my mission in the sense that I get to show how beautiful Mexico is, but it's just not it's not really that sustainable, because it's like translates to a nonstop life of moving and traveling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that really tires you out. and it's hard to keep doing that. So unfortunately, I think I got to move away from that. You know, as much as I have.
I
I
think
don't
there's
know, man.
enough action and pretty much even in like a small town in Mexico, there's enough action to make content for a year. Like there's more going on in like the average 20,000 person town in Mexico than like a half a million person city in the US, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right, and that is a good segue, kind of to like. I feel like I want to focus. I just want to focus on telling people's stories. There's
Hmm.
so many interesting people, and just kind of telling their stories. And there's so much, history between the United States and Mexico, and families that are separated by the border, and people that have stories of going and coming back,
Hmm.
and really just, yeah, just humanizing people, and obviously helping them. I have a decent amount of my content is kind of humanitarian based, in the sense that people need help. People need help, and a lot of people don't have access to the resources, and a lot of people don't have a voice. So I think I've been focusing on that content a little more, and I think that's a way that I can focus my overall channel. And I really enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing that, to use the platform and the reach that I do have to raise some money sometimes, and tell people stories and help them you know accomplish things.
Hmm.
So that's a way that I see the channel moving towards. I'm actually in the midst of raising money for Cuba. So I want to break out too from Mexico, like a little bit. Mexico is my favorite country, and it's one of the biggest countries and one of the most diverse countries. And there's 100 lifetimes of content to make here, and I will continue doing that. But I also, you know, want to remind anyone out there, because that's the other thing. Is like people, like sometimes Mexicans hate on me when, like, they hated on me because I got a Spanish girlfriend, and then I talk about like other countries or other people, and they hate on me for it sometimes. It's just like, dudes, the world is a big place, and and I'll remind you that I traveled all over Latin America before I came back to Mexico, because I love all of Latin America. I
Hmm.
love all these countries, and there's great people in each country, and there's great things to do, and culture, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to limit myself either. And Cuba is a place that really changed my life. I originally went there in 2015, and it really, I mean, it
Hmm.
was a life changing trip. I spent 6 weeks there, across the island from one end to the other. Was riding in these clunky ass, loud, just like smoke belching Soviet Union trucks with 100 Cubans barreling down the highway from one end of the island to the next.
Hmm.
And I just really got to know the Cuban people and their struggle. And I mean, talk about an awesome group of people that that have nothing, you know, and that need help. And it just really inspired me. And I went back to Cuba, earlier this year, and it was the first time I went back since I've been a YouTuber. So I made a bunch of content, and it hasn't done well on my channel because you know people, all my Mexican followers want to see Mexico, and that's fine. But I'm raising money. I'm raising money to go back and to help them. I want to do a bike ride across Cuba, and with a backpack full of cash, just helping people. Um, and I kind of did that in the Yucatan Peninsula like 3 years ago. I raised money to help impoverished Mayan communities, and I went with two homies from the United States. It's fucking awesome. We rode bikes for 2 weeks, like 500 kilometers or something, and went to all these off the beaten path Mayan communities, each one with their own unique set of uh, obstacles.
Hmm.
And I mean, that type of content, man, I mean, it's just like, there's nothing better. You know what I mean? There's nothing better than helping people, you know what I mean? And using the platform to address needs. So yeah, man, I know I'm rambling a lot with your questions, but I would like to kind of direct the channel to more of the kind of these humanitarian things, but also just like once again, just like telling people's stories and showing how cool they are and showing how they overcome all these struggles, and also just kind of give lessons to the gringos, dude. I mean, we just live in such a bubble, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's a blessing, but like these people have no, like, I don't want to speak for everyone, okay? But in general, in the United States, like, we just don't have problems. And of course, there's oppressed people groups, and people have, more opportunities than others. I'm a straight white dude from the United States, so I got a lot of opportunities that a lot of people don't.
Mm.
But in general, man, and I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I don't care what color you are, or what your sexuality, or what your background, or how bad your family was, or what type of mental issues or whatever you have. You're in the United States. You have 100 times more opportunity than people do in a lot of different countries, and especially Cuba. And that's the God's honest truth. You know what I mean? And if you want to call me like some privileged white dude for having that opinion, go for it, bro. I'm just trying to tell you all that, what what the reality's like in other places too.
Yeah,
So
something with Cuba is definitely going to change in our lifetime. And when it does, I mean, Cuba's going to be like the next most interesting country in the world. I mean, it has a lot going for it.
yeah, yeah. Cuba's amazing. I mean, the only thing that's not amazing in Cuba is the food, because they just don't have access to a lot of products, whatever. But I mean, it's fine. You can find decent stuff to
It
eat.
could be. I mean,
But
if they like developed their industries, it would be fine. I mean, you could grow pretty much any fruit there. They got the tobacco, they got the spices. It's actually quite a big island, like bigger than most people think.
hmm
So I mean, once they get it going, man, it's going to be a really interesting place.
yeah, we'll see how long that takes. We'll see if you know I don't say if it ever happens. I think it will happen, but we'll see how long it takes me, because the system there, is one that is going to be hard to topple. It's going to be hard to topple, and the United States has a lot of responsibility in improving. It pisses me off when I see the UN resolution like votes, and it's like voting on ending the trade embargo. Two countries in the entire world vote to not end the trade embargo.
Hmm.
Three, like Ukraine. Um, and the trade embargo does not exist like it used to either. And I've caught so much heat and hate on my channel for saying that, and I don't even say it. I let the Cubans, and I still catch heat. Uh, so it doesn't exist like it used to, but at the same time, like, this is not a Cold War world anymore, and like we could help Cuba a lot more than we do. We could make it easier for them than we do. Um, but yeah, dude, Cuba is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing for people that don't have to live there. And I hate to say it, the Cubans are trapped on their island.
And
And
remind me how you're able to go there as an American, because I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian American, so I can go. I thought Americans like can't go, but then they like relaxed it a couple of years ago, and you can go in certain circumstances. How does that work again?
man, I don't really even know. I know that Obama, relaxed the tensions. That was the first time I went was with Obama, but I flew from Mexico. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? Apparently, yeah. Apparently they have direct.
Oh, it's like if you
Apparently they have
fly
direct
from
flights.
Mexico, then it's chill.
No one cares, dude. No one. The only people that care are U.S. Customs. Cuban
Mm,
customs don't give a shit. Mexican customs, and however you say, Bohemian or
Bahamian.
whatever. No one cares but U.S. Customs, and And apparently, yeah, it's like I think it is way easier now. Like there's like I think like 8 or 9 designations by the State Department that technically allow you to go to Cuba, and one of them is, yeah, just like when you want to help people, you're kind of like an independent journalist, or you go with a humanitarian goal. You know what I mean? And but to be honest with you, I don't know, man. I've never flown from the United States to Cuba. I've flown to Cuba only
Okay,
from
so that's
Mexico.
the secret.
They weren't even stamping. They weren't even stamping passports the last time. There's something weird's going on. They uh, they used to, and you know, you would ask them as a U.S. citizen, don't stamp my passport, just stamp my little tourist card, which you have to pay for. This
Right.
time, this time they weren't even doing that. It's kind of like they kind of just like look the other way, kind of
Mm,
whoever.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I got to make it over there. What was it like filming in Cuba? Like what's kind of like your process for asking for permission? And I guess what do you use a GoPro, or do you what other people might be curious what actual tech stack you have?
Oh man, my tech stack is the tech stack of a normal person. I use my iPhone. I got some external mics. You know, sound is always important.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you know, I got a GoPro. I got a drone. No drones allowed in Cuba.
Right.
Uh, but but yeah, I did a lot of hidden camera footage in Cuba. Like I kind of just kind of held my phone in my hand and shot from the hip.
Mm,
And and you know that's important to do in a place like Cuba because so many people are scared to speak out. But there's less and less people. Like the Cuban people, you know, they're over it. They're over it. They're like so many people just don't believe in the system, and they're ready for it. They're ready for it to topple. So there is less people that are scared to speak, but there is still a lot of people scared to speak. They'll throw you in jail forever. So I shot a lot of hidden camera stuff. I tried to remain as neutral as possible because you know people are going to accuse me of being an imperialist, CIA agent. You know, and if I don't call it out, you know what's going on in Cuba, then people accuse me of being a communist. So I just kind of you know let the Cubans talk, and even so, you catch so much. I kept so much heat, you know, and it's just like shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Shut the hell up. Like all these people commenting like they know better than Cuban. So
mm.
so yeah, there's a lot of hidden camera content. It's interesting. Cuba is just one big photo op.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It really is like traveling back in time, not just the building, the cars, appliances, but also with just people's mentality. To think they didn't even have, you know, internet until 10, 15 years ago, and then it was like super expensive. You know, only in internet cafes, so no, they essentially still didn't have. And then it was like hotspots, and now they got internet, but it's obviously super. But it's just like they're so far behind. It's like how the world used to be, just mentalities. They're out in the streets,
Hmm.
living life, dancing, dominoes, and baseball, hanging out with you. They're listening. They're looking you in the eyes. It's like how it used to be before
Hmm.
we were zombies attached to our phone. And
Hmm.
you won't find that anywhere else like you do in Cuba. And that is truly the most amazing thing about Cuba is mentality. And that's why if you go to Cuba and you do not, you're only going to scratch the surface. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
you know anyone listening out there, still go to Cuba. But man, when you speak Spanish, it is like you really, really time travel.
totally. So it sounds like Cuba's one of your next adventures. By the way, we've had Murph's Life on the podcast. He's a previous guest, And I feel like you're almost taking like a Murph's life direction with your interests. It sounds like.
Big inspiration. Aaron is a good friend of mine, and we did a bunch of projects together in Mexico. He's the one who kind of, I followed him for a year or something before me,
Mhm.
and it's obviously amazing what he does, dude. And then I met him, and then he really, you know, I helped collaborate with him, and then he kind of pushed me, and then I started doing some individual projects. So a huge inspiration of mine, and I mean he's just doing it on such a big level. It's so cool, you know. But yeah, I don't. I also I don't know, man. Like once again, I don't like to limit myself. I don't see myself like turning into another Murph's life either. I mean, I'm different from Murph
Mm.
in a lot of ways. I, I see myself kind of more of like a kind of going into like more of a journalistic like periodico. Like how do you say? Yeah, I
Citizen
guess.
journalist, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Like I like telling stories. I mean, that's what he does too. But I don't
That's
know.
definitely where the
Uh,
world's going. I mean, no one's trusting the mainstream media anymore. Like that, the mainstream is dead, and now it's all, it's all citizen journalism. It's all moving to Twitter. So yeah, you guys start tweeting more or
yeah,
posting your
man. I
videos
don't.
there.
Yeah, I don't even really do anything on Twitter except message you.
It's a good platform. It's a good platform. I'll give you one idea in Mexico to pursue this Cuban thing. I'm not sure if you knew this, but in the state of Veracruz, there's a big Cuban history where actually I'm going to get this story wrong, but Che Guevara and some of the other guys, they were in Mexico for a period of time. I think they were in exile, and they actually left from one of the
Veracruz,
ports in Veracruz to like go back to Cuba to Che Guevara because he's where the hell is he from again?
Argentina.
He's from Argentina, and so he was in Mexico, and
Yeah,
he
that's where he
actually
met. That's where he met Fidel Castro.
Fidel, yes. So Che and Fidel met in Mexico, and then they took a boat from one of the ports in Veracruz to Cuba to like go do their thing in Cuba. And so and there's this whole kind of history of relationship between Cuba and Veracruz, and also the Yucatan as well, the state of Yucatan. And so you'll find these like Cuban Mexicans that have like a bit of like Afro descent and stuff like that. And there's probably some good stories you could find there if you dig into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're probably right. I never really thought about that in the sense of like finding stories in Cuban. I do know the history about how they met in Mexico and then they departed in the boat. Grandma was the boat from Veracruz, and also just going to Veracruz, like Veracruz capital. I mean, it's some streets look like La Habana. They look like Havana.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, definitely.
super, super like Caribbean looking, and the vibe there is super Caribbean, much more so than the actual Caribbean of Mexico, in my opinion. Caribbean
Hmm.
of Mexico is awesome in its own way, and it is very Caribbean. But if you're like kind of comparing, like like the music, the food, and the way that the architecture looks, really kind of just like the mentality of the people, Veracruz is very Caribbean.
Yeah,
So
it feels a bit more like like Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or
exactly,
Cuba. Yeah.
exactly. So that's a good idea. Yeah, I can go there and meet some Cuban Americans, or sorry, Cuban Mexicans. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I know. I have it. I'm just looking at it on my phone. On the city of Tuxpan, which is another port in the state of Veracruz, there's a museum called the Museo de la Hermandad Mexico Cuba.
Uh huh.
So I think it's like a tiny little museum and stuff, but like there's some murals and I think they might even have like the boat. Oh, they have some uniforms and stuff. So uh, far from Oaxaca, but well, not that far. You could maybe give it a go one day.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I might even go back there in a couple of weeks about it. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean they do share a border, Oaxaca and Veracruz, but yeah, it's a long drive. um, one other random thing, I'll throw it in the podcast while we're still recording because it's a big part of your audience. Is one thing we've been getting into more at My Latin Life is helping Mexican Americans get their Mexican citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really popular service of ours recently. Like I put out a couple of YouTube videos about it and been getting a lot of call bookings. And I think kind of like before the maybe before 2020 or a number of years ago, like a lot of Mexican Americans were kind of like, like I'm kind of past that. Like, you know, they didn't see the value in being a dual citizen or claiming their Mexican citizenship. And I think now, kind of in the post pandemic world, people kind of realize the value of having multiple passports. And I'm seeing more and more Mexican Americans trying to do this and get their parents' birth certificate and get that Mexican passport. I think it's a no brainer.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they should definitely do that. You know, I'm a permanent resident in Mexico, and I'm going for the citizenship. You know,
Mm,
I hope to have the citizenship by the end of the year. You know, so
really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. You know, I know I'll be eligible to apply for citizenship. You know, in November because it will be. You know, you talk about this all the time in your X feed. You know, it's like a whole process. You know, so in November it will be. You know, I will have over 5 years of residency, and it will be 2 years to where I've been in the country of Mexico for at least 18 months.
Correct.
You know, so I
Yep.
would have been eligible to apply for the citizenship if it wasn't for that last requirement. You have to be in Mexico for 18 months out of the 2 years prior to
Hmm.
applying for the citizenship after having 5 years of residence.
Hmm.
Um, but no, that's what I'm doing now, and I'll apply for it in November. You got to take a test. I got to study for it,
Hmm.
and then from what I understand, it's still like just up to the Mexican government. So I'm hoping there'll be someone in the that sees my application and checks out who I am and sees that, you know, I'm a contributing citizen. I will be a contributing citizen. Actually, do really care about Mexico and really love Mexican people,
Hmm.
and I'm hoping they'll approve me. So we'll see how long that process takes, but yeah, it's to apply for it in November.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely document this process. They say the exam is harder than you think, but um, we have some study guides and stuff if you need any help, man.
Sweet, and that's cool that you're helping Mexican citizens do that, man. I had no idea. Yeah, go for it. It'd be great to have dual citizenship. All the Mexican Americans out there, and I do think that the appreciation for Mexico is growing stronger, even among Americans. So I think that's all a good.
Totally. Yeah, I get on calls and sometimes they'll be like, my brother doesn't want the Mexican passport, but I want it. So even in families, like some people see the value, some don't. But it's like an absolute no brainer because, as you know, like our main thing is helping Canadians and Americans internationalize, get residency in Mexico and other places, go places with a better lifestyle. But we just saw this need and this sort of gap in the market for helping Mexican Americans get their Mexican passport. And we've been doing more and more of these cases. So I don't know. Send people our way.
Nice. Sounds good, man.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll kind of get to wrapping up. What?
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. If there's anything you didn't ask me that you want to, go ahead and shoot. And I'll try to not ramble so much. Have I been rambling too much?
No, no, it's all good. I mean, it's meant to be casual. Um, What's been the it's such a funny thing. I mean, and we will get to wrapping up in a sec. But so your girlfriend or partner is from Spain. You're American. You guys are in Mexico. What keeps you in Mexico? Why not go move to Spain, for example?
Um, well, that's a good question, but 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 I'd say proximity is a big one. I can fly home 3 hours, three
Yep.
and a half. Uh, I do love Mexico. This isn't a show. It's fake. I do love Mexico, and yeah, it is my job. My job to I like I said, I would really like to branch out and make more content in different countries. I love other. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, I traveled a lot before I
Hmm.
settled. I'm 38 years old. I don't know how old you are, but I'm like I do love traveling, but I just don't like as much as
I hear
so.
you.
But I do love Spain. I do love Spain, and I've always loved. It. And now that my girlfriend, I've met her whole family. I lived culture on a deeper level in the past couple of years. I love Spain. Dude. The only thing about Spain, the taxes. They rape you. They rape you on the taxes. And but yeah, certainly, I love it.
So I'm in Spain right now. At the time of this recording, I won't be here for too long, watching my days. But dude, they have this beer. It's like a lemon beer that I'm drinking right now on my balcony. It's it's 3 parts beer and 2 parts lemonade, and it's like 3% alcohol, and it's so fucking good. It's insane. I I'd never had it before I came to Spain. There's a couple different brands of it, and I bought out every can in the supermarket. So
Sounds awesome.
it's crazy.
Great.
It's kind of like a Radler, but not exactly.
Sounds great. Cheers, bro.
So
Just
cheers to
after
that.
just after noon, someone actually just offered beer. I kind of want to hold off.
Well, I'll let you get back to the good life on the Oaxaca coast there. Get back to your whale watching, man. Any final kind of message you want to share with the audience? Obviously, plug the YouTube channel. There'll be a link in the description to the channel. But any other kind of message or where they can learn more about you?
Yeah, yeah. So my channels are it's just my Ford Quarterman, Ford like car, truck, Quarterman. But but yeah, man. Anyone out there just listening to this, you have to if you do not have crippling, if you are not crippled physically, don't have some other job that some sort of paying off the medical benefits for some, or unless you have like a family. You know what I mean? If you do not have something anchoring you to the United States or to Canada or to wherever you are, go for it. Go for it. The hardest part is just deciding to go for it. And you don't gotta sell everything and clean slate it either. You can go for 3 months, you can go for six. Design your life to where you can do that, even if it's for a month, and just try it out, because you'll never get over it if you never like there's a saying in Spanish, el hubiera no existe, which is like should have never doesn't exist. And I know it can be intimidating. I know there's a lot of uncertainties. It can be super scary. But if you just go for it and you just decide to move to a country, to Latin America, wherever, the rest will fall into place. And if it doesn't fall into place, then you just go back. But you'll be surprised at how you figure it out on the way. Trust in yourself and really go for it if you do not have something anchoring you to one location. You got to go do it. You got to explore the world. You got to live another country, at least for a season of your life. Try to learn another language. It's like living two lives in a good way, not being like a deceitful, person, but like it opens up the possibilities. It doubles the possibilities. Latinos are some of the most amazing people out there. And just go for it, man. That's where 99% of people, they never get through that kind of mental block. Just do it. Do it. You'll figure it out on the way. And I bet you won't regret it one bit. So that's what me and, my Latin life, that's what we preach. And we believe in it. So grow a pair of balls, bro. Do it.
Holy shit, that was perfect. That was wow. I'm gonna have to splice that in the beginning. I couldn't have said that any better. It's true. You really got to go for it. And you made me think of a couple things, but wow, we'll have to leave it for maybe another episode. It's one of those things where it's hard to put that into words in a tweet or even in a video sometimes. But I think we need to be reminded of that constantly. Like there's really not that much downside, and you can just do things, and sometimes you just gotta say fuck it and book a flight or find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy the flight. That's the point. That's the message. Boil it down to one statement. Buy the flight. Just buy the flight. Just go. Then you'll figure it out. And once again, if you figure it out, you don't like it, go back. Or maybe you don't figure it out. And maybe you get drunk on the beach for a month and think through what you need to think through. But your life will be better for it. Your life will be better for it, and you'll stop asking yourself what if.
Let's leave it off there. That was great. So this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Ford Quarterman. There's going to be a link in the description to the YouTube channel. Highly recommend you check out some of his videos. It'll definitely inspire you to just book that flight. And subscribe to the podcast. We put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like Ford, and you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.